Hi, this is Christa at the Secret Yarnery. Today we're making this vintage crochet garland. This garland works up so great and so quick. We're using 2 strands of eyelash dazzle or any eyelash yarn that you have. And it works up so great because we only have to do one side of our bobble because all of that eyelash really just fluffs up the bobble and makes it look super nice and round without having to do the whole complete bobble. So you don't use as much yarn as you would if you just use a regular acrylic. And the sparkle is amazing. Also, if you're hanging it, it has a really nice fluid drape to it. It feels very, very great. Very soft and weighty, drapey. It looks wonderful on a tree or also for a nursery or above curtains. It's just so pretty and so cute. If you'd like to follow along with a written pattern, there's a written pattern for this available on my website, secretyarnery.com. To make the vintage Christmas garland, you will need 2 balls of yarn. I am using this eyelash dazzle from Ice Yarns, and I'm mixing my colors. 1 pack of eyelash dazzle is enough to make really great garland for a 10-foot, very large Christmas tree, plus a small indoor Christmas tree as well. And that will be 1 complete pack or 4 skeins. If you are doing it for a normal Christmas tree, then 2 balls of eyelash dazzle is enough, or any sort of fancy tinsely yarn that you like. I'll be using a 6mm hook for this pattern. Get your tails lined up a little bit offset so one is longer than the other, and make a slip knot. Shrink that down and put it onto your hook. We're going to chain 10, but to start we're just going to chain 1. So chain 1, and now line up your tails with your yarn. Pinch the chain that you made. That's going to be our new tail or our new spot to hold your work. And chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now my ends are woven in. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that is the beginning of our garland. So now we're going to work into the 3rd chain from the hook. So we don't count what's on our hook. We just count these V's underneath. So there's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to go into the 3rd chain just on this bottom part here. So most of that chain is going to be on the top of our hook. So wrap your yarn, go into that 3rd chain, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, and now leave that on your hook. So now we're going to do that 3 more times. So wrap your yarn and go into the very same spot, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, leave that on your hook. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. Wrap your yarn and do it again. We're basically doing this until there's no more space in that stitch. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. So that finishes that. We have 4 loops on our hook. So wrap your yarn into the same spot, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So now we have 5 loops or 5 stitches on our hook. Wrap your yarn and take off all 5 loops. So that is your first little pom-pom. And now chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 19, and 20. It looks like this so far. So we're going to do the same thing again, working into the 3rd chain from your hook. So there is the 1st chain, the 2nd chain, we're just looking for these V's, and the 3rd chain is right here. That is the 3rd chain. And we're going to go into the bottom part of that stitch or that chain. So wrap your yarn. I'm going to do another cluster stitch. So we're going to start 4 double crochets without finishing them. 5 if we can fit them in. So there's our first double crochet started but left on the hook. And again, start your double crochet, leave it on the hook. So there's 3 strands. Here's our fourth. 4 loops of yarn on your hook. And we'll try to do one more into the very same stitch. There we go. So we have 5 stitches on our hook. I'm going to wrap our yarn and take off all those loops. So just turn your hook so it's facing down and drag it through all of those stitches. And chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 19, and 20. So now into the 3rd chain from the hook. So we just count our V's. There's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to go into the bottom part of that chain, getting most of it on the top of our hook, and make our cluster stitch into the 3rd chain from your hook. So wrap your yarn and into that 3rd chain. We're going to start 4 or 5 double crochets, depending on how many we can get into the space. So there's our first one started. Here's our 2nd double crochet started. So there's our 2 double crochet started. We have 3 loops on our hook. Starting my 3rd. 4 loops on my hook. And going for my 4th. So I'm just pinching open that chain at the bottom with my thumb so my hook knows where to go. Just kind of pinching it to hold it open. And starting my last double crochet. So now I have 5 sets of double crochets on my hook. Wrap your yarn, turn your hook facing down, and drag it through all those loops, and chain 20. So we're going to keep going like this all the way along until your garland is the length you want it to be. When your garland is the length you want it to be, finish your last bobble and chain 11. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle. Pull your hook up and your yarn out, snug that down to secure, and now just sew in these tails. So to do that, just work them back and forth in and along your chain as best you can in one direction, and then back the other way. Cut off your tail, and you're finished. So I hope you enjoyed making your vintage crochet garland. I'd love to see yours. You can tag me over on Instagram at Secret Yarnery. Also on Facebook, The Secret Yarnery, or our crochet group over on Facebook, The Secret Yarnery Crochet Community. Love to see what yarn you used for yours and how it looked on your finished project. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe by hitting that button down below. Love to have you join us, and thanks so much for hooking along. We'll see you in the next video, and stay hooked.